Bunny here has a new addition to the family, and she grew up with her guardian. It was just her and her guardian. Then her guardian got married about 3 years ago, so now the dog has to share the guardian's attention. And now we have a little one who's almost a year, who's kind of running around the house or crawling around the house. And Bunny has shown her teeth a little bit at him at times. She's gotten between mom and the child and growled. Now, one thing I mentioned to the guardians, we don't ever want to correct a dog for growling. Growl, is that your neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A growl is not aggression, it's a warning. It's almost the exact opposite. And if we teach our dog or we correct our dog for growling, a lot of times they just go and start biting or nipping. We don't want that. We want the dog to communicate. Now, what I'm suggesting in this scenario, because she's a little dog and because we have dogs are not allowed on the furniture, but the little one is crawling, and we need to give her a place where she can go to that she is safe from. Little kids are unpredictable. They grab. She's a herding dog, so I think she already is confused. She has some rules, but I think that the way that her guardians interacted with her kind of confused her into thinking that it was a trio. And now she feels like it's appropriate for her to correct the little one. And we don't want her to think that's the case. I get a lot of people like, oh, it's so cute. Look, the dog is protecting the baby. I don't want my dog protecting the baby. If the dog thinks it can protect the baby, it should also be teaching the baby. And if the baby does the wrong thing, they will nip to correct, which is what they would do to a puppy. Her job is not to do that. So what I would suggest we do is we get a kennel, and she used to have a kennel and like the kennel. What I'd suggest we do is we get a kennel, we pick a little enclave like here. We put the kennel in with the doorway facing there. And just a little bit of a path this way that only the dog can go to. We might have to actually take the kennel door off. This is a wire kennel that they have. So the dog can walk down this way, take a left, and then go into the kennel. The baby can't get there. Now, the only thing I would be concerned about is that it's a wire kennel, is the baby sticking its fingers through and her nipping through the wire kennel. So we might want to put plexiglass so that she can still see, but the baby can't do that. You just put that on the outside. I've done that before. I just drill holes and get zip ties and just zip it in, and then you don't have to do it for the sides that are accessible. But this way, she has a place where she can go. If the baby is coming around and I don't want to deal with it, as a dog, I just move away. Most dogs will happily move away on their own if they have an option. But if everywhere I go, the baby can go, then I don't really have a place to go. And if the baby won't leave me alone after a while, I'm going to nip it to say, hey, I disagree. Now, I'm going to show in this video how we can train the dog to use this dog bed on command with a command word. Your job is to actually, in the next 60 seconds, think of a single word that we're going to use for the dog bed, not bed. I have a lot of people that use like beach. When I work with Fiona Apple's sister, we call it stage because Fiona's the singer. So just a word that's going to be unique that we don't use a lot, that's a one-word command, so we can direct the dog to go there. We're going to use the same technique for the dog kennel area to jumpstart the dog going there. What I would do is just toss the treat on the back side so the dog goes in there and gets it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you have a name for it?
Is pillow okay? You don't really use that word.
Sure, pillow will work. All right, so we're going to use pillow. So the way I do this, I let the dog see that I have a treat. I toss it in the dog bed. Pillow. So all I do is I toss it in the dog bed. When the dog goes and touches it with its lip, the same second it touches it with its lip, it should hear the command word. And then I wait for the dog to leave the area. Now she's being thorough. She's a very smart dog. Make sure there are no other treats around here. Now, this is usually the next, there we go. So I'll get her to do this just to come out. I'm not telling her to have it. She sees that it's there. I didn't claim it. So I want her to come out so I can demonstrate a little bit more. Buddy. Sometimes if a dog won't come, putting one a little bit closer to her can help motivate them. So now she's back out. So I do this in 3 capacities. The first way is I do it, like I just did. I let the dog see that I have a treat, I toss it in there, and I say the command word when they go get it to entice them to go there. Second way I do it is when the dog, after I've done this enough, pillow. After I've done this enough, the dog is going to start like checking out the area to see if there are any treats here. Then what I do is when I let Bunny outside, I go and put a treat there while she's outside. Don't point it out to her. Just watch. And when she goes over there and finds it, then we're going to say the P word. Pillow. So Just like us, if every time we go to a restaurant we find a $100 bill in the menu, we're probably going to eat at that restaurant and sit at that table a lot. So for her, if every time she goes here, there's something good, and I hear the word pillow at the same time, with enough repetition, I can say pillow, she will go there anticipating getting the treat. So the first way we do this is to entice her to go there. The second way we do it is we want to start reinforcing. Once she starts going there on her own, if she were to go over there on her own, I would walk over and pop the treat into her mouth. And I would say the word pillow. If she goes and sits or lies down or just stands there, anything, just rewarding her for going there. So when we're doing the kennel that's going to be pointed towards the door, we're going to make sure that she sees it. So we're going to go like, put it against her nose, walk over, make sure she's tracking it. She stops looking, come back to her nose, and then make sure she sees it, and then drop it in a big, bold movement. So she sees it drop, and she knows that it's back there. She's going to be able to smell it. She runs back there and gets it. We're going to say, I would come up with a command word as well, a different word for that. Now, if you have multiple rooms that you hang out in, I would have a kennel or a dog bed or a sanctuary in each room with its own designation. I have one client, they do this for dog beds. They have 3 floors house, and they say Aspen for the basement. They say Boulder for the middle floor, and they say Vale for the top floor. So they can be in the basement and say Vale. The dog will run up 2 flights of stairs, and go to the dog bed expecting to get a treat. Now this takes a little bit of repetition, but the great thing about it, we're using positive reinforcement. We're training and conditioning the dog when the baby does something we don't like to move away from the baby. So the dog feels empowered to do it on its own. They feel like they can look out for themselves. They don't have to count on the guardians to do this. And the baby just is like, oh, I can't get to the dog, so I just go back and I pick something else up and go, do what I want to do. Now, we want to also make sure that we intercede if possible. If this is blocked off or we're in a different room where she can't do it and the baby is walking or crawling towards the dog, we want to basically teach the dog to move away. Now, if the baby was, let's say, walking from where that carriage is towards the dog, I want to get the dog to go here, so I might go like this and say away or move or charge or whatever the word is that you want. So you're giving the dog an incentive to move away, and then they hear that command word when they moved away at the same time. So that way we have 2 methods. Sit, a little passive training. So the first way is we condition the dog to go into the dog bed or a dog kennel, and the second way is just to teach the dog to walk away. So now the best way to do this is if the baby is in here and the baby is enthralled with playing with this thing. And I'm the baby, I'm having a good time. The dog is watching, toss it away when the baby's not trying to go after the dog. So it doesn't always associate, this means I move away from the baby. This just means I move away from the humans or whatever it is, and every time I do that, I'm rewarded. And this way you can have a vocabulary with your dogs, and you can communicate. Let's say the dog is being a pain here. Maybe we have a dog kennel or a bed in the back bedroom. We say that, and the dog runs way down there out of the baby's sight, and then the baby forgets about it. So I would have one in your bedroom, and I would apply the same technique, but come up with a different designation for each one. This way we can direct our dog around, as opposed to worrying, is there enough room, or forcing the dog or pulling the dog away. We always want the dog to do the work. So this is how we can use positive reinforcement to give the dog a motivation to move away from things that it doesn't particularly like.